Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today, we're plunging into a skill that isn't just useful, it's genuinely transformative for anyone in education, really, regardless of the resources they have. We're talking about resourcefulness, yeah? About seeing challenges not as roadblocks, but as, well, fertile ground for innovation, for learning. Okay, let's unpack this, our mission today. To demystify, maybe illuminate, the art and science of improvising instructional materials. Think of it like a superpower for educators, a critical skill, especially, when conventional teaching tools are scarce or maybe just not the right fit culturally. It's about using creativity, practical know-how to make real learning happen with whatever you've got.
That's it, exactly. In this deep dive, we're going to explore how educators can really lean into creativity, address those limitations head on, and actually turn them into richer, more impactful learning experiences. We'll start by defining what improvisation really means in this context. Then we'll get into the different forms it takes. Some might surprise you. Then the benefits, which are pretty compelling. We'll also map out a practical process, how you actually do it, and crucially, talk about the limitations, because they exist, and importantly, how to tackle them.
So whether you're a seasoned teacher, maybe a volunteer somewhere with few resources, a trainer, or honestly, just someone like us who loves ingenious solutions, this deep dive is really designed to give you practical strategies, things you can actually use, and maybe some surprising insights too. You might look at a plastic bottle completely differently after this, or a pile of sticks even. That's the kind of, let's say, magic we're exploring. Let's get into it. So first things first, let's define our terms. When we talk about improvisation in education, what exactly do we mean? It sounds like it's a bit more nuanced than just making do, right? Or scrambling at the last second.
Oh, absolutely. And that distinction is really key for teachers. Fundamentally, improvisation is the act of creating or adapting resources spontaneously, to meet immediate needs, solve problems, often using whatever materials are available and some innovative thinking. It's that spark. Now, applying it specifically to instructional materials, it becomes the creation or adaptation of teaching aids using locally available or alternative resources. The goal is always achieving educational objectives when, well, the standard stuff just isn't there. It's purposeful, not accidental.
That's fascinating. Really reframes making do, makes it sound like a proactive, intentional act. Not just patching a hole, but crafting something specific for a learning need. What's the secret sauce then? Are there common threads in the really good improvised solutions, things teachers should focus on?
Precisely. Good question. The source points out it's not random. Successful improvisation usually combines three things: creativity, resourcefulness, and a clear understanding of learning objectives. Think of those as the pillars. Creativity lets you see potential in, well, junk sometimes. Resourcefulness is using what's around you smartly. And the clear learning objectives, that's your guide. It ensures the cool thing you made is actually effective for learning. These three things together. That's what empowers a teacher to turn, ordinary objects into effective teaching tools. Makes them indispensable if you're comfortable with this approach.
Right, and that makes me think about the scale of this. Creativity. That opens up a whole range, doesn't it? Because making do isn't just one thing. What are the different sort of faces or forms these improvised materials can take? Is it always just a quick fix?
Not at all. It's super versatile. And knowing the types helps teachers. The source actually breaks it down into 4 distinct types. First, there's temporary improvisation. These are materials for like a single use, a specific lesson. They're meant to be disposable afterwards. A classic example. Paper cutouts for teaching geometry concepts. You use them, maybe they get written on, then they're discarded. Quick, effective, solves an immediate problem. Then on the other hand, you have permanent improvisation. These are built to last, designed for repeated use across lots of lessons, maybe even years. It's a bigger investment upfront, time and effort-wise, but it pays off. The source gives a great example. A handmade model of the human skeleton. Something you can keep referring back to throughout a whole anatomy unit. Durable, reusable, built out of necessity.
Okay, so quick fixes and long-term investments. That already broadens the picture quite a bit. But what else? Is there more in this resourcefulness toolkit? Are there even more, let's say, sophisticated ways teachers do this?
Oh yeah. Beyond temporary and permanent, the third type is creative improvisation. This is where you're really inventing something new, a tool or technique that maybe didn't quite exist like that before, often combining different things, true invention almost, like using recycled materials to build a solar system model that demonstrates planetary relationships. You're not just tweaking something, you're creating a whole new teaching device. And the fourth type is adaptive improvisation. This is about taking existing stuff, things made for a totally different purpose, and modifying or repurposing them, making them fit an educational goal. The source mentions repurposing a plastic bottle as a measuring tool for science experiment.
Ah, I see, like marking lines on it.
Exactly. This type really shows the flexibility, the adaptability improvisation gives teachers, seeing potential everywhere, turning everyday items into functional learning aids.
It's amazing how those categories really map out the spectrum. From an on-the-fly fix to something quite elaborate and reusable, it really opens up what improvisation can mean. But okay, beyond just being able to cope when you have to, why might a teacher choose this? Are there benefits we might not immediately think of? Hidden advantages?
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting. The benefits go way beyond just filling a gap. The source points to 5 key advantages. Understanding these can be a game changer for teachers. First, the obvious one, cost effectiveness. This is massive, especially for schools on tight budgets. It reduces the need for expensive, commercially produced materials. This means schools with limited funds can still offer quality learning. Think about the budget that frees up for other things. Second is contextual relevance. This is where improvisation, I think, really shines. You can tailor materials directly to the local environment, the culture, the kids' specific needs. It makes learning so much more relevant and meaningful to students' lived experiences. You know, when a math problem uses local fruits or a science lesson uses local stones, it just clicks better.
All right, so it saves money, connects better.
Yeah.
And I imagine it sparks something in the teacher, too. Does it boost creativity?
Definitely. That's the third benefit, enhanced creativity. And it's not just for the teacher. It encourages innovative thinking in everyone involved, teachers and learners. Lessons become little exercises in problem solving and resourcefulness.
And for the students, you mentioned that connection. Does that translate into engagement? I could see kids being fascinated by a homemade skeleton.
Absolutely. Which brings us to the fourth benefit, increased engagement. It's almost counterintuitive, isn't it? You'd think a shiny store-bought tool would be better. But often when students see that solar system made from recycled bits or measure with that repurposed bottle, they lean in. There's curiosity, relatability. They see the problem solving involved. It demystifies learning a bit, shows that big ideas can come from simple things. It's the story behind it, maybe, and their potential role in it. And the fifth benefit, sustainability. This approach naturally reuses and repurposes materials, cutting down waste, promoting environmental awareness. In today's world, that's a powerful lesson in itself that teachers can weave right into the activity.
That's incredible to think that something born from scarcity can ripple out to affect budgets, creativity, student connection, even the planet. Really shows the depth here. But okay, for someone listening, this sounds great in theory. How do you actually do it well? Is there a process or is it just pure, spontaneous genius?
Well, maybe some genius helps, but it's definitely not purely spontaneous. That's important for teachers to get. There's a method, even if the act feels immediate. The source lays out 5 clear steps. First, identify the need. You have to know the specific gap, the objective. What concept needs teaching? What standard tool is missing? Clarity first. Second, analyze available resources. Look around, critically. What's locally available that could be repurposed? Seeing potential in everyday stuff. What has the properties you need? Then, step 3, design the material. This is planning how to build or adapt it. It's like a mini engineering phase. Sketching ideas, thinking about how students will interact with it, anticipating problems.
So it's definitely not just grabbing the nearest thing. There's real thought, a design phase, okay?
Yeah.
And after designing.
Step 4, construct the material, actually building it, adapting it, and crucially, making sure it's safe, reasonably durable, and testing its basic function before it hits the classroom. Pre-testing saves headaches. And finally, step 5, test and evaluate. Maybe use it in a quick mock scenario first. Then, after using it in a real lesson, step back. Did it work? Did it help achieve the learning goal? That feedback loop is key for getting better at it. Let's use that teaching volume example to make it concrete. Okay, first, identify need. Teacher realizes they need hands-on ways to show volume, but no proper measuring cups or cylinders. Then, gather materials. Collects various plastic bottles, markers, water, or maybe sand. Next, prepare bottles. Carefully marks measurement lines on the bottles, creating improvised but functional measuring tools.
Okay, yeah.
Finally, implement lesson. Uses these marked bottles in activities. Students pour, compare, explore volume directly. It's simple, elegant, and follows that clear process.
That example really helps. It shows that even with improvisation, there's a systematic, thoughtful approach behind making it truly effective, vital for teachers. But like any strategy, nothing's perfect. I assume improvisation isn't without its challenges. What are the potential speed bumps teachers might hit, and why should they be aware of them?
You're spot on. Knowing the limitations is just as crucial as knowing the benefits. It lets you plan around them. The source mentions 4 main hurdles. First, time investment. Yes, it can save money, but making this stuff, it can take significant time, effort. Adding to already packed teacher schedules, it's not always a quick fix. Prep time is needed. Second, durability concerns. Let's be honest, materials made from recycled bits might not last like commercial ones. They might need fixing or replacing more often, especially with lots of little hands using them. Third, precision limitations. This is a big one for subjects like science and math. Sometimes you need real accuracy. Improvised tools might lack that. You probably wouldn't teach advanced physics with tools that have too much error, right?
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Time, durability, precision. What's the last one?
The fourth is resource and skill dependencies. You're relying on what's available locally. If you need specific types of plastic or wood and it's just not around, that's a barrier. And also, the teacher's own skills matter. Basic crafting, maybe some simple carpentry, understanding materials. These can be needed to make something safe and genuinely useful for learning.
Okay, that definitely raises the next question. If those are the hurdles, how do you get over them? Sounds like it could be tough for one teacher alone. How do educators make improvisation sustainable and effective, not just a desperate one-off thing?
Yeah, and this is where community and professional growth really come in. The source suggests 4 key strategies. First, collaborative creation. Get teachers working together. Networks within a school, across districts maybe. Share the load. Divide tasks based on skills. Share finished resources. Stop reinventing the wheel constantly. Second strategy, student involvement. Get the kids involved in making the materials as part of the lesson itself. This cuts the teacher's workload, sure, but more importantly, it builds student ownership, problem-solving skills. They understand the concept way deeper if they helped build the model. Imagine kids building their own digestive system model. The learning is in the making. Third, material banks. Basically, school-wide libraries or storage systems for these improvised resources. Catalog them, store them properly.
Ah, like a lending library for homemade stuff.
Exactly. It stops duplication, keeps things usable longer, and builds up this amazing shared collection over time.
So community sharing resources.
Mm-hmm.
And the last strategy sounds like it tackles that skills gap you mentioned.
Precisely. The fourth strategy is professional development. Schools investing in training sessions specifically on these techniques help teachers learn how to spot good materials, design effectively, build safely and efficiently. These solutions together, they build a supportive community, boost everyone's skills, make improvisation a strength, not just an individual struggle.
It's really inspiring how those challenges can actually become chances for teamwork and growth. Okay, to really drive home the impact, let's get into those real-world examples. What do the case studies show about the power of this when teachers really embrace it?
Oh, the case studies are fantastic. Really powerful proof. In rural science education, there's this great story. A teacher, no lab gear, right? So they made cell models using clay, wire, and recycled containers. Simple stuff. The result, student test scores jumped 27% after using these tactile models compared to just using the textbook.
27%, wow.
Yeah, a huge measurable difference in understanding. Then there's mathematics and nature. An elementary teacher took math outside. Instead of worksheets, they used sticks, stones, and leaves for geometry. The outcome. Engagement soared. Attendance actually went up 15% on those outdoor math days. The kids were literally voting with their feet, showing up because learning was suddenly dynamic, tangible.
A 15% attendance bump just from changing the materials and location. This is so much about engagement. How a different approach can hit motivation hard. What about the last one?
The last one is language arts innovation. An instructor made interactive word walls and sentence builders. Not just static posters, but things kids could move around. Made from cardboard and bottle caps. This led to better reading comprehension scores across all abilities, but especially for visual learners. These examples, they really give you those aha moments. They show real, measurable benefits across different subjects, proving that constraints, met with ingenuity, can genuinely lead to better education.
Those are incredibly powerful stories. They really highlight how constraints, plus creativity and a system, can lead to amazing transformations. It just hammers home that improvising materials is a seriously valuable skill, turning limits into chances for innovation, deeply impacting teaching.
Absolutely. And if we boil it down for everyone listening, the source gives 5 core takeaways. Things to focus on. First, master improvisation, really get good at creative adaptation. Second, build collaboration networks, don't go it alone, share with colleagues. Third, develop core skills, learn basic making techniques, working with cardboard, simple tools, natural stuff. Fourth, start small, don't try to build a complex machine first go. Start simple, build confidence. And fifth, crucially, embrace the mindset. See limits as opportunities, as puzzles to solve creatively. And the interesting thing is, underpinning all of this, the most effective improvisation always starts with knowing your learning objectives clearly. That's the anchor. Ensures your creativity serves a real educational purpose.
That's a perfect summary. It's not about just being crafty. It's about intentional, creative problem solving, always tied to the learning goal. So for you listening, maybe think about one small step. In your own context, teacher, coach, friend, explaining something, how could you start improvising? Look at the everyday things around you differently. That piece of cardboard, that old yogurt pot, those pebbles in the garden. Could they be your next great teaching tool? Often the biggest limit really is just how we see things, our imagination. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the amazing world of improvising instructional materials. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and definitely keep that curiosity alive.